Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Dr. Matthew Loop, and I am excited here today with my friend and colleague, Dr. Rob Scranton from Clinic Masters. Rob, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Matt. I hope you're having a great day too.
Excellent, excellent. We just saw each other in Miami Beach. He attended one of our social media profit mastery trainings, and I was fortunate to be able to speak at Dr. Rob's event in Key West, whose mastermind members. What was that, January, February?
Yeah, the last weekend in February, we were down there. That's right.
Yeah, and they just host a first class event. And what really impressed me is seeing the doctors that were in attendance just share some amazing success stories. Very, very prosperous minded group that you have over there, very generous. And I could tell, like, just really early on, it was going to be a great presentation and just a great network. So cheers to you for building a fantastic community. And I knew that I wanted to kind of do this interview and just shed some light on what you guys are doing. You're helping tons of doctors in the specific niches of knee pain and neuropathy and whatnot. So I guess we can give a background of who you are, what you guys are doing over at Clinic Masters and how you're helping docs.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I was kind of the typical chiropractor, graduated, didn't know anything from anything. And, the only path I saw to practice growth was just see more patients, adjust more patients. And like any of us that have done that, I get to a certain point and I'm physically tired. My joints are hurting. I can try to recover over the weekend, but Monday I'm back hurting again. And the only path I saw was just to keep adjusting more and more people and already seeing the effects that was having on my body. And ultimately with that model, there's only so many days in the week and there's only so many hours in the day. So sooner or later, you're going to be limited on what your income is and so forth. So I started looking into these different services I could start to add to my practice. And I probably done every niche that you could name. And a lot of them did really great right out of the gate, but then they kind of fell on their nose and, fell flat pretty quickly then after that. And some are just super frustrating. I just didn't like the type of clients that came in for those services. I just didn't enjoy working with them. I mean, I'm just being totally transparent. Not everybody's a pleasant sunshine day when they walk in your office. And ultimately we, did this for long enough. My friend, Dr. Matt and I, and we would trade, kind of our things we'd figured out along the way, because we'd worked with a lot of practice management groups that had promised that they had this training. And then when we really got into it, there wasn't much there other than like some suggestions of equipment and some marketing ideas, but there was not like the A to Z, everything in between. So that's what we spent, a number of years figuring out and working out the details of all of that. And ultimately we figured out that the two niches that we found that were consistently the most profitable, that we got the most consistent, great results with, that there just seemed to be a non-ending stream of new patients were knee pain and peripheral neuropathy. And so we really started to focus on that and recognize that, you can pretty easily work 3.5 days a week and do 50,000 a month in each one of those niches with one doctor, with a lot of it being staff driven. So you can really leverage your time. So it's that perfect combination when we talk to doctors that are at that point that they've done the high volume thing, that their body's beat up, they're burning themselves out time wise because they're working all week, and then they're doing talks in the evening and screenings all weekend. That the idea of just doing much more targeted, much higher profitable, specific, niche treatment programs, seeing fewer patients and working fewer hours, it's kind of like most chiropractors, dream of what they would ultimately want. So we found that a lot of doctors and colleagues of ours are asking, what are you guys doing? Or how are you doing it? How are you working 2.5 days a week? How are you only working, 3.5 days a week and collecting, 100,000 a month to 125,000 a month, 200,000 a month. And we had enough people, asking us about that I thought, well, we ought to start teaching people this. And that's kind of how Clinic Masters was born. And we had our first event, a year and a half ago up at Dr. Matt's office in the middle of winter in Fargo, North Dakota, with 8 doctors. And,
Nice.
and it's just grown from there. Our last event in April here, we had about 90 people there here in Salt Lake City.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar to my story where I got really good at MySpace back in the day of all things.
I bought your first program that had MySpace actually in the program. If I go dig through my basement, which I'm not super inclined to do because of what I might find down there, I'm sure I still got that program down there somewhere.
I might actually make you an offer to buy that back. That's an archive, but
might
like
be worth
you,
my time to dig through it then.
but like you know, I just had colleagues that were asking me, "Hey, what are you doing with this stuff?" And you know, when you have a good system, I don't care what it is, it gets around really, really quick because unfortunately in our profession, there's a lot of I guess I should say unethical salespeople. They overpromise and they underdeliver.
Oh, for
But
sure.
it's really nice
Golly.
to see
Oh,
it's really nice to see a group like yourself and Matt with high integrity. And that's another thing I garnered when I was speaking at your event in Key West. Before we actually go on, though, I know that we always love to throw value bombs and give docs a quick win before we really get started in the presentation. And you've got a special gift that you're just going to give away to people that are listening to this call. I know it's a phone script that helps you really dial in the collection procedure and 3 books, I believe. What is it, Doc?
yeah, absolutely. So this phone script is super valuable. If you're going to have $100,000 a month practice, one of the things you realize quickly is you can't have people filling up your appointment book that are not going to be there or not going to show up, because time is the most limited resource we have as a clinician. If somebody doesn't show up for that, that is lost forever. You can't ever make that up. And so it's okay to push away people because we drive enough marketing that it doesn't matter if people are going to say no to that or balk on that on the front end. Good. That's just doing us a favor because they're probably not going to be an ideal fit anyways. And somebody that really wants help and really wants this care, they're going to be totally okay with paying for that. So we had to come up with a scripting, a way to make it really smooth and elegant. And it's just like it's a normal thing, because I know most chiropractors are not used to collecting on the front end for that new patient visit. But if you're going to have $100,000 a month practice, it's absolutely critical, because if those people paid, they're going to show up. And if they balk at that, they just won't come in, and then you didn't waste that spot because there's going to be somebody that's going to come in right behind them and backfill and fill up that space anyways. So we're giving that away. Plus, a book I wrote on, creating customers for life. It's a business book. One of our a neuropathy book, that I wrote, and a book on chiropractic. And we're happy to get that out to any of your members that are interested in that, Matt. So they can get that at clinic-masters.com/gift. And just fill out their information and we'll get that, mailed out to them.
Yeah. So go to clinic-masters.com/GIFT, and that's where you can get that information.
Yep.
It's one of those things to where we were talking about this before the training. It's our goal is to help as many docs as we can. And sometimes because of how many docs are just jaded, because of all this stuff going around, over promising and under deliver, that I always, like you, like to lead with something of value. Hey, get this, put it in your practice, get the results, and would love to share with you some other powerful things, or eventually have you at one of our trainings and events. I know
absolutely.
I know you've seen a lot of stuff over the years, but in your experience, what do you find that maybe are like the top 2 mistakes that a lot of chiropractors make when they're maybe trying to transition into a model like this, or just trying to charge higher fees and live a less stressful practice life?
Absolutely. So the 2 biggest things I would say is trying to they get the idea of niches and they get super excited and they try to implement way too many things at once. So they're watery thin on everything they're doing. They don't master anything, and they do everything kind of really poorly. And they don't get people signing up and saying yes to their treatment plans. So they get very frustrated and jaded. Part of that is, like we talked about before, the people teaching a lot of these things. We've had, doctors come to our events and, stand up at lunchtime and say, man, I've got more out of this first 3 hours than I learned in 3 years of being in this other, group or program that supposedly teaches this stuff. Well, that's what you talked about before, because you got people teaching stuff that have never actually done it themselves, or teaching stuff that worked 20 years ago. It's kind of easy for Dr. Matt and I, because we're just teaching, you guys what we're doing or what we've already done in our office. So it's pretty easy. We're not making it up, or it's not not theory or like telling people stuff and then hoping it's working. So focusing, and that's why we get doctors to focus on, knee pain and neuropathy, because it's the easiest wins. They can get results the quickest, and it's the most profitable. And there just seem to be a never ending stream of new patients, out there in almost any market that we've tried doing these things in.
Do you find that based on the type of practice that the doctor might have now, I mean, because everyone, some doctors are really on the low barrier side of things. Others have kind of positioned themselves as the Ritz-Carlton of the marketplace. In your experience working with these docs, does it matter their background, where they come from, if they were looking to kind of go and look into this model and get stuff implemented like you guys teach?
That's kind of what I would have assumed and thought in the beginning, that we're going to have this certain doctor, but we somehow let some doctors through kind of our vetting process of who we would normally, like that first type of doctor, like you're talking about. They've seemed ideal, but we've had doctors come in that have, maybe done 10 or 12,000 a month for 10 years straight. And that's it. And it's 100% insurance. And now a year later, they're doing 100,000 a month, all cash. I think it has as much to do with mindset as it does anything, and the desire to do that. And what we teach our doctors, I think the most important thing, if people have tried niche programs in the past and they haven't had, results, or haven't had success, or haven't had people saying yes, is because they're not building the value. And so the people just aren't willing to exchange or see that what they're getting is more value than the dollars that they're willing to give up. And I think that's something Dr. Matt and I absolutely excel in, creating that value through the consultation, the exam, and making it very obvious to people that they're getting the better end of the bargain.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was impressed with too. Like, I heard story after story after story of your docs just saying, hey, this was kind of what happened before. And then as I got these scripts and protocols implemented, as I gained the confidence, like they're collecting, high 5-6 figures a month, which was very, one of the doctors, I can't remember his name. I think he was practicing in Florida that we were speaking with. It was the night before I got there, almost had tears in his eyes a little bit. And just, again, it's very inspiring to be in a community like that, to see real change and transformation taking place. And even if you're a doctor, I guess, maybe a doc has a very comfortable practice right now. Do they have to switch the whole thing, or is it like a piece that they can integrate to almost plug and play very simply into what they're already doing to see results, or does it have to be totally revamped?
It can. We're willing to work with the doctor on however they want to implement it and whatever speed that they want to do that, because we realize that chiropractors, we're pretty unique, and there's not a one size fits all, or you can't fit us in a box anyways. But we've had doctors do all the above. I mean, like, they join Clinic Masters and they're already building out a whole different wing of their office just to do these niches, and they're just going gung-ho. But we have other doctors that want to kind of slowly implement it, maybe because they just aren't have the revenue stream or the cash flow to do everything at once, but they slowly start to implement. Or we have them do one of the best strategies for doctors in that situation. We have a whole internal marketing program that they can just print out, and if they just follow it line by line by line by line by line, I mean, most of these doctors are throwing an extra $20, $40, $50,000 into their practice the first month they implement it, because we're marketing to their chiropractic patients that already know, like, and trust them, that have no idea that they treat knees or neuropathy, or it can be even helped at all, let alone by a chiropractor. And they'd be more than happy to get those services from people that they've already had success with, in the past.
Yeah, that's very smart. Tapping into that group that already just has a relationship that's very strong with you. I know that you come from the school of like Dan Kennedy, old school marketing, and
for sure
you've done so many things. Like, and in terms of like marketing, whether it's a chiropractic practice right now or specific niches like what you're doing, your approach seems kind of a bit like mine, where we're testing a lot of different things along the spectrum. Obviously, you've got certain methods that are dialing in, but for you, I guess, aside from the whole internal referrals and the scripts, what do you see that's working great now for just doctors in your community?
Well, funny enough, you talk to so many doctors with false beliefs that say, oh, print advertising is dead. And that's one thing I always love to bring up to people, because I've been killing it with print advertising, because, the people that newspapers still exist, and they only exist because they're profitable. They're making money. So somebody is buying those things.
Sure, sure.
The people that are buying them are the people that are the perfect demographic for, knee pain treatment and peripheral neuropathy. And nobody else is advertising in there anymore. So you're kind of like have a whole market yourself. So that's a secret gem I don't mind giving away, because most doctors are still going to need the actual marketing pieces that, kill it, that actually work. We have those too, but that's a overlooked opportunity, because we have doctors will ask us, well, there's a lot of people advertising or doing neuropathy in my area. I'm like, I bet very few of them are advertised in the newspaper, which is the perfect demographic for these niches that, we specialize in. And they're like, and they still don't believe me half the time, but I'm like, try it, test me, put tracking numbers on it to make sure, what your actual results are, and focus on the ROI, not, well, I didn't get 35 new patients out of that. That's fine. You get 5 here and 7 there and 10 there and 6 over here. And before you know it, you've got a mix that's just an automatic pilot. And when you can create patients on demand, then you actually have a real business.
Exactly. Yeah. I love the return on the ad spend metric. It doesn't matter if it's online or offline. And, me, I'm a big social media guy, but I work with a lot of clients too that are still crushing it with offline and print media, radio and whatnot. I'm always like, if that's working for you, obviously keep doing it. So the returns might not be as high in some regards. However, I mean, if you're new patient acquisition, if it costs you $250 to acquire a new patient, and that's a $5,000 program, that's a great return. Anytime you're in the black, regardless, you're in the black, right?
If you're making money, you're making money. What does it matter what the medium is? I mean, Facebook can be great, but you also get a lot of people like, it's easy to tap your thumb, where if you're in the paper, and we use some real long form advertising, Dan Kennedy, people have sold themselves through what they've read in the print before they come into your office. It's almost a lot easier. Those ones that do show up from that are high value, highly qualified people too.
I think one of the takeaways especially is to start doing things that are a little bit higher barrier of entry. Facebook, I'll use Facebook as an example. Facebook has become, it can be great, it can be lucrative, but it's a very low barrier of entry, where I could literally go right now, let's say in this Atlanta market, I could reverse engineer, look on somebody's fan page and see what ads they're running. I could do that to all the docs, and I might find a lot of similarities based on what they're doing. But like whether it's newspaper or something else, has a much higher barrier of entry, not just from a cost standpoint, but also you might have to put a call into somebody. You might have to build a relationship with, somebody at the paper. Like these things that a lot of doctors aren't just, they're not going to do it. So like you said, it's wide open. Why wouldn't you take advantage, to build your practice?
Well, I've always found in chiropractic, and this may have been some mentor of mine that I don't even remember, so I don't know who to give credit to, but he said, when it comes to chiropractic, just look around at what everybody else is doing and go and do the opposite, and you'll probably have the best success ultimately. I've always kind of believed in that mantra and kind of followed that to some degree. Well, we do Facebook, we do all of it. Sure. We want to have all those arrows in our quiver.
100% market domination. And, one of the things I know that we also spoke about, because I teach a lot of doctors how to create additional streams of income online. You're a huge advocate of that online, offline too. And I remember at your, it was funny. It was at the Key West event. I would hear this cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching periodically through your seminar. And eventually later on, the second or third day, you explained what that actually was. Every time they heard that cha-ching, you were actually making money through this crypto trading program. And then you and I got to talking about other, generating additional streams of income and your background in the financial game a little bit. And I think that's really important too, because, it's one thing to work and make money. It's another thing to allow your money to make money and ultimately have very high leverage. And if you still want to be in practice, that's fantastic. Absolutely do that. However, we know that chiropractic can be very physical on the body, and there might come a time where you want to truly experience passive income. So what are your thoughts in terms of setting docs up for that ultimate goal of financial freedom, whether, it's after the practice or if they want to kind of still do the practice and have these additional streams? I'm kind of curious what you think about that.
Yeah, I think my definition of financial freedom is to get to the point in life, regardless what your decisions are, whether you want to keep practicing or not, or you enjoy doing that or not, is getting to the point where, money is no longer the reason that you ever do or do not do anything in your life ever again. Whatever level that is. I mean, some people are totally fine, driving a Ford Fiesta, and other people, I got to have a Lamborghini to feel fulfilled. But if you reach that point, to me, that's truly, financial freedom. And that's one of the things that, you're right. I worked in the financial world before I became a chiropractor. Then I sold my first practice, took a 2-year sabbatical, worked for a guy named, Garrett Gunderson as his chief financial architect before I really got the idea of these niches. I'm like, I got to open another practice, and that was a lot of what we, would teach people. So I've kind of brought that idea, we had this accredited network of financial professionals that we would have our clients work with. And so that's something we brought into Clinic Masters as well, because, most chiropractic coaching and management companies that I've been in the past, really, I went there, and I was hoping to wring out an extra 5% out of the practice that I already had. And we're seeing these doctors, you met them. I mean, you've talked to them, and, oh, holy cow, all of a sudden they're doing 50,000 more than they've ever done in a month or 2 or 3, like so easily. It's silly. The next thing they run into is, what do I do with that? I'm not used to having this affluence. I've just been in survival mode for 10 or 12 or 15 years. And so that's one of the things we saw missing in the chiropractic world. That's great to teach doctors how to make income, how to make more money, how to, make their practice better. But then what do? They typically don't know the right financial people to help them with that. They might know the best person in their community, but that might not be very good. It's just the best one. So we've vetted these people, and we're tried to bring the best financial people in the entire country to meet with our doctors. And we have on our doctors login page for our private coaching group members a section called Financial IQ. So any of these guys that have been and they lecture at our events, doctors can go in and watch those and rewatch them and learn from that, and know they can go to these people that are, if they want to utilize them, they can keep using their own people if they want to, but they have access to some of the best anywhere in the world. So, it's not just how much you make, it's how much you keep long-term. So
sure.
We think that's something that's unique, that has never been in the chiropractic profession, that we wanted to backfill, that financial knowledge that is probably missing, I think. Because when I went to work for Garrett, I'm sitting there, I worked in accounting and finance. I had a degree in that. I had filed tax returns. I did audits. I was a financial analyst for the Florsheim Shoe Company. And I came and, was a client of theirs first. And I thought, I don't know any of the stuff that they're teaching. And with my background, if I don't know any of this stuff, I guarantee you almost no chiropractors know any of the stuff either. I mean, they, will puff and say, well, my guy's really good, or my accountant's really good. I'm like, yeah, but you know what? Our guy with the Clinic Masters, he'll do a free 3-year tax review for free, just to find any deductions or things that you may have been missing, or that your accountant may have been missing. And how many times have any of us ever had another accountant review our current accountant's work to make sure that he's doing a good job? And if he is, fantastic, pat him on the back and keep using him. But if not, you could be like me. I'm missing $10,000 in deductions every year. And, my accountant that, I grew up with, his son, cost me $100,000 over the last 10 years because of the things that she wasn't doing that were available to me. So those are huge wins too, because you don't have to go see more patients or adjust more spines to, get those easy dollars.
100%. When is your next event?
July 15th and 16th here in Salt Lake City.
Got it. And that's which niche?
So that one is our knee pain niche. And it's interesting. We have doctors that love neuropathy and doctors that love knee pain. I used to love neuropathy because it was the most hands-off. But then I sort of started doing knee pain more, because the way that we teach it, these doctors will see patients are just, there's no selling involved. They want to enroll for treatment. And so for doctors that struggle with that or don't like feeling like a salesman, that's probably their favorite niche. Like I said, I like the neuropathy because the efficiency. I mean, a lot of these patients I would maybe see 3 times, their entire time they're in our office for their, $5,000 or $7,000 we were charging them for treatment. So that knee pain, it's the next one coming up. We do 2 knee pain a year and 2 neuropathy events per year.
Okay. And all that's found at clinic-masters.com.
Yep, they'd be right on there. There's a button that they can click on there for each event and learn all about it in the details.
Okay, awesome. So before we end this interview, can we get another quick win for the doctor that's wanting to at least have a less stressful practice, wanting to collect more and still be congruent with maybe their philosophy, attitudes, values, and belief? So, I mean, what would you? Any gem is good.
Well, that's another one, because we looked at all these different niches, and we like these because we're still using the body's own innate ability to heal itself. So rather than there's so many things out there with injectables and regen and hiring medical doctors and this sort of stuff, you can make those kind of incomes with a heck of a lot less overhead and a lot less stress, and still stay true to our chiropractic roots and values by helping the body heal from, above down, inside out.
Because you're a Gonstead doctor, right?
That's right.
Gonstead, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me to kind of overcome that mindset, to do these other things in the first place, I mean, I was as straight for a long time, until, I even realized, gee, there's these neuropathy patients with, numbness and tingling in their legs. And sure, a number of them, I was adjusting their back and fixing that, and that would go away and get better. But there were a number that didn't. And as I looked into this, I'm like, oh, okay, this is what my grandpa dealt with. My grandpa had diabetes and peripheral neuropathy, and his got so bad, he got gangrene in his leg and ended up having his leg amputated, refused to have the other one amputated because his stubborn old German developed sepsis and died from peripheral neuropathy. I mean, it's a serious condition. I mean, if you like making life change and not just helping people's cricks in their back and their, chronic lumbago, this is for you. I think most of us went to chiropractic. We wanted to be healers. We wanted to change people's lives. And I've never seen anything like this. I mean, when we do that first test treatment on a patient's knee with our treatment program, and maybe you've seen them. I don't know if Matt was demonstrating those when you were down at Key West, but that emotional reaction we catch on video, I mean, you'll never experience anything like that, in my opinion, in chiropractic in your life. You can't get enough of that when you see that on people's faces. It's fantastic.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Love hearing inspirational stories. And I did see a couple videos, I think you guys shown at the event.
Oh yeah.
One of the other doctors, I don't remember his name. He was the one that might've been, cause you had one doctor in there. He was pretty well known in his area, and he got to a point, I think he was charging like $12,000 per case or something, or one of those. And he showed a couple of videos, and it was just very impressive to see such fast results from people that, they've tried everything and whatnot. So definitely.
Yeah. And when they see that right after 10 or 12 years of chasing around with medical doctors and doing various things, like they can't pay you quick enough. Like that's where there is no selling involved at that point. They're just paying for a result that they've already experienced, and they want more of it at that point. And that just turns the tables to me on the whole traditional chiropractic model, because most of us have been selling hope in the future. And yeah, most of them get better. A lot of them do, but it's still tough, for the patient to make that leap, that 3 months from now, they'll be better.
Yeah. Interesting.
As to, oh, I'm better right now, and I want to be even more better. Okay. Yeah. Let's open the credit card up here.
Awesome. So, hey, thank you so much for taking the time with me today. Really appreciate that. And I'm sure the docs got a lot of value. So clinic-masters.com/gifts,
Yep.
gift or gifts. Yes. Where you can get that
GIFT. Yep.
GIFT, where you can get that free gift. And if they have any questions, where can they contact you specifically, Doc?
Yeah, so they can just go to clinic-masters.com, and they can get a hold of us there. I'm happy to give out my cell phone number to anybody that has got questions or wants to text me or talk later. My personal cell phone number is 309-737-1534. I'd be happy to talk to anybody anytime. I'm not going to hide behind the Clinic Masters website. You can actually talk to the owners if you've got questions or want to know if this would be something that might change your practice and practice career trajectory.
Yeah, thank you very much. And if you guys get a chance, you have to watch their promo video on their website. It's a pretty funny video and very clever how they do it. And you told me about that several months ago at our training, and I was like, oh, let me check it out, and had a good little laugh. So I think you guys you'll definitely like that. And I really appreciate what you do, helping a lot of docs, help a lot of patients. We need more authentic, high integrity consultants and practice management groups in this profession. That's my opinion. And I'm just really excited to see what you guys
Absolutely.
have
That's the
done.
only reason we did this. Dr. Matt and I never had any intentions to start a consulting or coaching company, but we just saw the lack of it out there. And we were ourselves so frustrated with, gosh, doctors just pay a lot of money. And you just see them go in a merry-go-round of continually paying it with that hope and just not getting, what they need and what they want. And we wouldn't have done this if we didn't feel like, hey, they can come in 2 days and get everything A to Z. We're not going to hold anything back, what they need to implement and do all this stuff on Monday morning.
Yeah. And you guys also do events in cool places sometimes as well, like Casa Marina, Key West. That was a really good location. And so I can totally, you want to take care of docs and give them a red carpet experience, because that also sets the stage. And I just really align with that philosophy as well. So clinic-masters.com/gifts. Check Dr. Rob and Dr. Matt out. Really great guys doing amazing things for the profession. If you have any questions, go ahead and contact him. Doc, thank you so much for chatting with me for a few minutes, and we shall talk soon.
Enjoyed it. My pleasure. Thanks, Matt.
All right, you got it.